Hello, welcome to July 2026. No small feelings here. Okie dokie, friends. So I have pulled cards, runes, crystals, a little bit of everything, and we're just getting started on this YouTube journey. So if it's clunky, it's clunky. And I have one of Hecate's spectral hounds helping me today. How lucky are we? Okay, so I've pulled everything already because it is so much. And I have some notes here on the astrology and little bits and bobs about the month because I say this all the time. It's like checking the weather. I'm not an astrologer. And if you have specific astrological concerns or individualized astrological concerns, I implore you to find an excellent astrologer to chat with about those. But we're checking the weather here. Do we need an umbrella? Yes or no? But we'll really get into the juiciness in the cards, runes, and crystals. I also have my trusty planner here to keep me honest about the dates. So we're going to be covering July, and we're going to be covering Sunday through Saturday. And we're going to be starting with the 28th, so a few days in the past. And we'll go through each of the weeks in that way. Okay, let's take a couple of grounding breaths just to land in this moment, letting out any extra air, breathing in through the nose gently, and out through the mouth, easy. I like a little pursed lips, but the choice is yours. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Last one, in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Well, like I said, this is newer for me, so if you don't know me, I'm Laura. I am a Reiki Master, divination practitioner, reading tarot, runes of the Elder Futhark, the Akashic Records, and crystals. And what else? I teach restorative yoga and yoga nidra. A little bit of everything. Let's do it. So first, this first week, we have June 28th through this upcoming Saturday, the 4th. And there's a lot happening astrologically here. We've already moved into Mercury retrograde. If you aren't feeling it, I don't know how to connect with you. It's crazy for me, for the folks that I know. But if you are somehow getting by unscathed, hats off to you. We also have Jupiter moved, which is a big deal, and we had the full moon. So no small feelings to start this week and kick off the first, as it were, week of July. And for cards, runes, and crystals, we have the 10 of Cups, Lagus, and then a red tiger's eye. And how did I select these crystals, you might be asking? Well, I pulled the cards and runes, as you normally do, and the crystals, I took a look at my whole crystal collection here, hundreds of stones, and the ones that called out to me, are the ones that I grabbed. So we have a red tiger's eye here. This is an interesting way to start this month. We are also in the final days of the oak moon. I will be incorporating a little bit of the Celtic tree moon situations. So with the Celtic trees of the month, it follows sort of the 13 lunations of the year. And so that's why there's 13 trees throughout the year. And we are just finishing up our time with the oak tree as we go through these sort of first few days, right? Final days of the oak tree. And what these crystals, cards, and crystal, card, and rune are coming through to me, there's sort of this moment of investigating. Anytime Mercury is retrograde, just for myself, I like to take a couple extra steps, a couple extra moments to think before acting. And I think there is a call to being really still with ourselves and thinking, what does the 10 of Cups look like to me? Chances are, even though we're only on the 1st of July and I've already had a terrible day, I don't know about you, the 10 of Cups is amongst us. No matter how hard it may seem to find, it is there. Perhaps some stillness can help us connect with it, and perhaps some stillness can allow us to better understand what our true Ten of Cups looks like. Ten of Cups is often represented by this sort of family scene. And maybe the Ten of Cups feels like you with a cup of tea, right? There's different kinds of Tens of Cups. It doesn't look the same to everyone. Chosen family, birth family, whatever, right? There's always a personal spin on whatever tarot card might be coming up. And Lagus, this deep stillness, this deep intuition, this deep undercurrent of the truth of who we are, and the stability of this red tiger's eye is really asking us to find the Ten of Cups and reconnect with what it means for us. We're trusting the flow. We're trusting that emotional fulfillment is afoot. There's a lot of emotional fulfillment in the Ten of Cups. There's a celebratory energy. And no, I'm not talking about the 4th of July. Can you imagine? That's not what we're talking about here. But maybe it's a day that you're able to shift the narrative and just celebrate something else this year. And that's all we're going to say about that. For more of my rantings and ravings, you can follow me on social media. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you want to hear my nonsense there. But we're feeling very anchored despite all of this movement and big emotional release with the astrology. We're finding this fulfillment and we're deeply connecting with ourselves, the undercurrent of us. And I think this is a really good week, especially kicking it off with that full moon and everything else going on. What do we need to let go of so we can feel this deep inward connection, internal connection, this grounding, this stability, to let this celebration feel really natural and true to us? What did I miss? Anything? I didn't. And moving on to the second week. Also, I've heard that there is likely going to be some chaos this weekend. So we're going to ground down through that. Next, the next week of July, so the 5th through the 11th, we have the Queen of Wands, Citron, Chrysoprase, and Ingwas. Let's check out the astrology. Ooh, so we're going to be moving into the Holly Moon in the middle of this week. So we're moving from the oak, the time of the oak, the month of the oak, which is very the tree of light. We're going to paint it simply here. And we're moving into the holly month. And holly is very protective. It's a warrior, but we are starting to, since we've moved on since after the summer solstice, the days are getting shorter and shorter. So the Holly King has won, if you're familiar with that lore, and the nights are slowly becoming longer. We are still in this heat of the summer moment, and holly is a tree that remains green even in harsh sunlight, even with a little less water than usual, and helps us remember that it really, our strength really does come from within. And I know that that's quite cheesy, but to me, that also speaks to the Queen of Wands. These things are always connected, right? You are you no matter what's happening around you. I know there are times, at least for myself, that my sense of self can not waver. It's not that I lose who I am, but it's easy to lose our footing when chaos is around us. And I do think the Queen of Wands has the ability to remain exactly who they are, despite their surroundings. So we're coming back to our bad girl selves. The Queen of Wands. I love the Queen of Wands. I think and gender has nothing to do with it. And I am reading this month, pulling these cards, runes, and crystals as energies to look for, not cling to desperately, but hold on to and to really embody. It's time to kind of be the life of the party a little bit here. And so, really, the astrology here is asking us, and the energy overall is asking us to start with our feelings. That's my thought there. And I know maybe wands isn't necessarily where we would start with that. But I think it's coming back to that fire, that passion within. The queen is bold. The queen is not afraid of whose eyes might be on them. They're not afraid to be the center of attention. They're not afraid to not be the center of attention. They are fully themselves no matter what. They walk in a room, and no matter what, it's like, what are they having? I want one of those, right? Passionate, passionate, passionate. Um, embodiment, the embodiment of their passion, which I love. And something is really being planted here this week with Ingwas as the rune. Um, we're trusting. We're trusting. Ingwas reminds us that the tree doesn't bloom or the flower doesn't bloom the day the seed is planted. And the queen isn't in a rush to get anywhere. Yes, she moves quickly as the wands do, but it's not from a place of lack. It's not from a place of needing to get there faster. There's a trust involved with these, just as there's a trust with the citron chrysoprase. We're coming back to the heart. The color of this is electric. There's electricity happening in this second week here. We're standing strong on our own 2 feet, no matter what is happening around us. And the cards and runes aren't necessarily telling me that we need to be braced for anything, though bracing isn't necessarily a bad idea these days. Generally, being fortified is not a bad idea. But there's an electricity here. Let the current run through. Be excited about things. Plant the seeds. Tend to the seeds. Be your most youest self. Wear that wacky outfit. Say yes to that friend date going to that weird activity you wouldn't usually do. That's what's coming up for me, at least in this second week of July. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I did. There's a Mercury Kazemi coming up over that weekend. This is a time that I've heard is going to be a lightning strike of clarity during this Mercury retrograde. So we're just going to be our badass little selves, and we're going to let that clarity come through. And you know what else we're not going to do for the rest of our lives, but at least during the second week of July? We're not going to just be endlessly scrolling. If we are taking in things, it should be things that we love. It should be art. And I'm going to say a favorite TV show could be that. I'm going to say finding someone online that's creating stuff that matters to you is that. But we're not just watching junk. We're not just mindlessly consuming. Hopefully that's something that we can come back to. We're not mindlessly using robots to generate thoughts for us. We're coming back to our own thoughts, our own inner electricity, our own seeds. There's some very human work happening there. And the human work continues. So week 3, starting on the 12th, that's when that Mercury Kazemi is. So be on the lookout for sort of that strike. This is just like lightning to me, right? Coming back to that sort of lightning strike moment of clarity. That's the word I was looking for. Coming back to that moment of clarity on the 12th. Maybe it will feel really obvious, maybe it won't, but just be aware of it, be ready for it. And then moving into this next week here, the 12th through the 18th, we have the King of Pentacles reversed, Pedalite, and Anzus. We're coming back into our self, the real world, where the queen was passion and maybe a little bit of outward energy. We're coming back in. The way I read reversals, it's not the opposite of the card, but perhaps there's a disconnect from the energy of the card. The energy is still present. It's just about us choosing to interact with it, to embody it or not. The King of Pentacles is definitely someone, and I typically read court cards as people, an aspect of somebody in our lives, potentially an aspect of ourselves. But in readings like this, I'm very much reading it as something where it's an invitation for you to embody it. That's sort of my take on these month ahead readings. And especially if I'm reading for the collective. If you want individual guidance, you know where to find me for a one-on-one reading. But as a collective moment, that's how I'm choosing to interact with the court cards. Painting with broader strokes. There's a call here to be super receptive to assistance, to knowledge, to help. We might not know it all, right? Or we might have this opportunity to view our connection with our own internal King of Pentacles in a new way. A King of Pentacles is super connected to their resources. They aren't, they don't need to double check their bank account to see if they can get themselves a coffee. And that's not a comment on where we're at as a society. That's not a comment on or any sort of disparaging comment on very real socioeconomic issues that are amongst us. That's not what we're talking about here. It's more their understanding of their resources that are not just their bank account, their body, their world around them. Can I wear this sweater one more time, or is the sleeve going to fall off? Things like that. And in the reverse, I do think that this third week of July, we are going to be needing to be very connected to our tangible world in order to solidly receive the things that are going to be coming through. So Anzus is really a rune of external information. It's the rune of Odin. It's the rune of knowledge and words and the estuary. And we can't take anything on if it's going to make us feel swimmy. Does that make sense? I also am coming back to my list of not to forget. And there's like this really cool thing happening that week that I don't know anything about. So we're going to check in with our astrologers. But there's a rare outer planet alignment. I've heard it called a basket. Ah, exciting. So things are going to be working out in ways that we could not have anticipated. It's better than we even thought. We're not going to experience that if we're not connected to our resources. There's also a generosity with the King of Pentacles, so let's stay connected to that. And let's also not be afraid to let success look different than we initially anticipated, especially with Pedalite and Anzus. Pedalite is anything with this like dusty pink is really going to be connected to the heart. But there's a really beautiful, I hate this phrase, we're going to do it anyway, high vibe. Really high vibrations, but truly like very pure vibrations. Oh, I hate that too. But there's a really beautiful call to letting the truest, the youest, the purest, the highest sort of vibration stuff come through. And Pedalite is welcoming that, as is Anzus. Stay open, stay open, stay open, stay connected to you. Don't let the external messages change who you feel that you are as it comes to the real tangible world around you. And be open to letting success look different than maybe you thought. All right. Next, the fourth week. So we have Sunday the 19th through Saturday the 25th. We have the Knight of Pentacles reversed, Thurazaz reversed, and pink Scolecite. What am I missing here? I knew I'd forget the astrology stuff, so that's why I always have to take a look. Yeah. Mercury goes direct on the 23rd. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. We're coming back to putting one foot in front of the other. The Knight of Pentacles is absolutely that embodiment of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100, then success, then getting the thing done. Knights are action, Pentacles are the tangible, the real world. And how do we take action in a real way? It's not making 10,000 lists so we can feel exhausted by making a list and feel like we did something. It's not yapping instead of doing. It's doing one step at a time. Does this feel easy this week? Maybe yes, maybe no. Do we need to come back to it? Absolutely. Especially with Thurazaz in reverse. Here we are not, I often joke, Thor, don't get angry with me. It's nothing, Thor, it's not meant to be rude. But I joke that Thurazaz is a little bit like Thor's hammer whack-a-mole, right? there's a protection, but we don't want to be whack-a-moling so hard that we're exhausting ourselves. We don't want to be whack-a-moling so hard that we break the whack-a-mole game. And we want to be intentional. We're not just spazzing. We're saying, yes, whack-a-mole, I'm going to do this. Yes, whack-a-mole, I'm going to whack-a-mole that. I'm actually not going to whack-a-mole that. I don't need to. It's not picking our battles, but it's not picking our battles. And especially here with Scolecite, such a gentle heart opening with the pink aspect of this crystal. And I really do think that these crystals with these sort of starbursts, my personal thought of working with them, my personal experience, is that they really have, they're like antenna. I couldn't think of the word in this moment. They're like antenna. So they're bringing stuff in, and the pink Scolecite is so nurturing, so gentle on the heart. So we're not whack-a-moling out of control. Thurizaz reversed, Knight of Pentacles reversed, slow and steady wins the race. So we're remembering this. We're keeping the heart soft and gentle and open. A lot happened in week 3 where we sort of reinvestigated our relationship to success and what it looked like, and received hopefully all that guidance from those exciting outer planet basket moments. So in week 4, we're easing into this. We're not rushing. We're not snapping at everyone that we see. We're keeping our heart gentle, our heart open, and we're taking action from that soft, gentle, open place. Okay. And in the final week, the 26th through the 1st, we have the Hanged. We have Yera. We have Grossular Garnet. Y'all, it's going to be okay. There's a lot of movement this month. A ton. There's a full moon that week. There's a Jupiter Cazimi. You know I love a Cazimi. Exciting. Bold. Jupiter's doing stuff every 12 years, I think. So something to look out for. And then the buck moon is the full moon, and it's called the buck moon because that's at the time of year. This is the time of year when bucks start to grow their antlers. And there's a layer of that with the runes as well. It reminds me of LGs, even though LGs was not pulled in this spread. Antlers were very much associated with receiving guidance, with protection. Not city, that's not the right word. But community sort of priests and shamans and leaders would put on not horned not horns like for battle, but they would wear headpieces that had horns on them to show their connection to the divine. And so I love layering that in for the buck full moon that is occurring on the 29th. I also forgot to mention on the 14th that there's a new moon, so do with that what you will. But back to the last week of the month. With the full moon, I really think here that we are going to have a moment with ourselves to see a little bit of a bow on it. Healing, the work, the path, the whatever you want to call it is never done. There's no like, oh, I just needed one tarot reading. Oh, I just needed one Reiki session. I just had to go to therapy one time. I did it. That's not how this goes. But I am feeling like there will be a moment of completion, a moment of reflection that feels really solid at the end of this month, no matter how small or how large. And then we're going to have a chance. I'm feeling that with Yera. This is the rune of the year. It's a reminder of the ebb and the flow of time. You plant the seeds, you harvest them later, but there's a harvest aspect in Yera. The Hanged also tells me we're going to receive that information and now we're going to do something about it, or we'll step into this new moment of reflection. The Hanged asks us to make some sacrifices for our good, and if we're living right, it's for the greater good as well. If we're living correctly, in my point of view, as I hit this microphone, if we're living sort of according to at least my true north, my moral compass, what we want helps the greater good. And I don't mean like a fun pair of pants from Free People. Live your best life. I mean the real stuff that matters. The stuff that matters to us should matter because it makes things better for the collective, because what's the point otherwise? So with this, Yara, harvest. What are we harvesting this month? The Hanged, there's a bit of a pause. There's a sacrifice asking to be made. There's hard work that is going to be required of us, but it will all be worth it. I don't remember where I saw this, or maybe I made it up. When the Hanged comes up, I think about running. I myself am a runner, and there's a moment where you sign up for a marathon. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to run a marathon. Whee! And then you get to your first long run, and you're like, ugh, that's the Hanged. It's like, oh my God, I gotta get up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday and run 15 miles. That's that Hanged moment. But then you finish the marathon, and it's like the best thing you ever did. If you're not a runner, I trust that you can figure out an analogy that works for you. You can do it. That happened to me once. I did a reading and I pulled this and I gave that little example, and they were like, well, I don't run. And I was like, you can leave. No. But I trust you to show up to this reading with your own mind working and coming up with your own analogies. So at the end of this month, grossular garnet is also with us, and I love this crystal. It reminds us that everything is okay. There is an inherent abundance all around us at all times. Again, not going into socioeconomic issues in this moment, but it really is reminding us that we can receive. So Yara and grossular garnet are very hand in hand here. Find the abundance. Something amazing is going to happen today. Something amazing is going to happen today with grossular garnet. And there's a tenderness on the heart, with the heart here, as we reflect on all that we've accomplished and step into the next big thing. July is also, I really think, going to give us, and I think this because I pulled sort of a final card for this month. And I pulled it from the Death Doula Oracle deck. I should say what decks I used. So I used the Vinder Tarot deck for the tarot cards. I used the runes of the Elder Futhark for the runes. I used the crystals from the earth for the crystals. And then for like a special cherry on top, I pulled a card from the Death Doula Oracle deck. And we pulled truth. And truth asks us to find our truth. And I don't mean we make something up and we say, well, that's my truth. Or we're rude and we say, well, that's my truth. I mean, deeply knowing ourselves. Where can we come back to our truth? Where have we strayed from our truth? July, and it is such an overused word, but July really holds a mirror up to what does the truth mean to me? What does the truth mean to me around success, family, emotional fulfillment? What does the truth mean to me around being my most badass self? Whatever version, quiet, loud version of that is for you. What does the truth mean to me about being sort of a master of my resources, my time, my energy, my physical body? What's my healthy relationship to success in the tangible world? What is my truth of learning how to take one step at a time? The embodiment of hard work, not hustle, but like hard, honest work. And what is my truth as it comes to my ability to make sacrifices to get to where I need to go? It's no small feelings this month. There's already been no small feelings this week and this day, and it's already the first, or only the first day of this month. Okay, so that was my month ahead reading. I hope you loved it. Let me know your questions, comments, or concerns. I'm going to be doing these more frequently, and it's way different to talk to a camera than it is to talk to a person in real life. I also do new moon mini readings, so with the new moon on the 14th, those will be coming up as well. I have in-person events here in Alameda at the Feathered Outlaw. Check out my website for that. I'll be hosting a group Reiki session at Worthy Breath and Body in Berkeley this month. Again, check out my website. And if you'd like any one-on-one healing, guidance, divination, whatever the case may be, you can book those through my website as well. I see folks in person in San Francisco, Alameda, East Bay. All right. Thank you for joining. I can't wait to hear if and how this resonated, and I can't wait to get better and better at doing these month ahead readings. It's weird to just talk at a camera for half an hour. So there you go. Happy July. We can do it. How exciting that the planets are forming a basket. What does that mean? We'll all find out together. And how exciting that we have so many opportunities spiritually to come back to the truth. Pretty cool. Right. Happy July. Hopefully I'll see you soon.